So welcome back to Decoy Noise. Today we're going to be going over what is your your serious moment. So thanks for tuning in with Decoy Noise again. We're actually not going to be doing any more of the live shows, subscribership tanks, views tanks. So I mean, let's just get right into it. If you haven't already, please subscribe down below, but let's just get into this interesting Reddit thread. So someone once told my friend, "Wait, you're Chinese? I always thought you were Asian." That reminds me of that that racist story online where the guy said he was trying, like, he was like a I guess ignorant old man. He was trying to tell his kid, like, oh, you can't mistake Japanese for Chinese. They really hate that. And the son says, well, what about Koreans? And he was like, I already said Japanese. So kind of a funny story, but I mean, oh nice, somebody has a very similar story in the comments. Okay, so one time this girl asked me if I was Chinese or Asian. When I was confused, so I was like, Asian, because it was more general. And then she was like, oh, okay, so what part of Europe is Asia? We were 15. Okay, I mean, as long as it wasn't done with like malicious intent, they just didn't know that Asia was a separate continent, so I think that's kind of funny. Also, if the music's distracting the background, let me know. I can turn it down or just get rid of it entirely, but I thought it was a nice touch. It also helps me do like so many of these videos all in a row. So, the next reply is, this is fascinating to me because this person obviously has some kind of global geography set up in their head that they're sure about, but it's just so wrong. That is true, that is true. OMG, are you me? I've had someone ask me the same question. Yeah, I guess it's just, we really don't have that good of an education of other places when we're young, so I mean, failure of the public school system or maybe something else, who knows? Okay, so the next reply is, opposite thing happened with me. Someone told me I can't be Asian because I look like I'm from India and look like I'm Muslim. I was so confused from her statement. That kind of reminds me of the idea that it's like, you know, you forget that like Russians and Indians and Middle Eastern, those are Asian. Wait, am I getting, yeah, the Middle Eastern's a part of Asia, not Europe, right? Am I getting this very wrong right now? But just the idea that we always say, like, in America, in the States, we always go like, oh no, they're American, like, you know, we're American, that guy's Mexican, but it's like they're still in North America. Even someone from Brazil or Paraguay is American, so I mean, it's kind of a weird thing that we can't laugh at these people over here because we all do this at some level. Okay, so the next thread is, when I was in high school, I received a message over MSN from a buddy saying, Mitch is dead. Thinking he got in trouble, I responded with, ah ha ha ha, what'd he do? Oh. Turns out he had a brain aneurysm while driving home from school. Oh, that's sad, but also terrifying. Just the idea that, what was the movie, Kick-Ass, where the mom just is eating breakfast and just dies of a brain aneurysm, and the other terrifying story of the woman that was doing, what do you call it? She was a newscaster, and she had one, she said, oh my god, something's wrong, and apparently she just died shortly after. Had a brain aneurysm. A lot of people can recover from it, but sometimes it just gets you, and there's no, maybe there is a test for it, but just the idea that it's like so rare that there is just really no way that we have figured out like how to test, or not test it, detect it, and then it's already over. Next reply was, yeah, I don't blame you for answering that way. Who sends an MSN message to break that kind of news? Hey, back in the day, AIM messaging was just the general, that was text messaging back then, so I mean, I don't blame him. Found out my best friend died that way, from his brother no less. Not a great experience. Yeah, it's sad. Reply is, I know a girl who found her grandpa died because a relative posted about it on Facebook before telling the rest of the family. That's rough, but I mean, I kind of get it, so I mean, whatever. One thing I'll say is, so when I was in high school, a friend had passed away, and everybody went to their his funeral, but they all kind of took like selfies, and they all took pictures, group photos at the funeral, and group photos touching the tomb and everything. And to me, I just thought that was in bad taste. But someone in the comments below, let me know if that's a good thing, a bad thing. I mean, I don't know, maybe I'm just disconnected to that sort of thing, but I just kind of felt like, wait, we take selfies at funerals now? That just seemed very bizarre to me. Alright, so, next reply. Or next thread, let's go to. Started a new job in a company where my boss worked in 2 different offices. He wrote himself a note on a legal paper. He handed it to me and told me to fax it to the other office. Then told me to call them and tell them to put it on his desk so that he can have it tomorrow. When he arrived, I smiled because I thought he was playing a joke on the new guy. He was not. He loves faxing. Guess he's single-handedly keeping the, what do you call it? The fax industry in business right now. Let that man fax! It's the wave of the future. Documents sent anywhere in the world over the telephone. And the thing is though, is back in the day when my parents had a fax machine and it was like a brand new thing, they were like telemarketers over fax, so you would always get these random fax messages sent to you that were just like, hey, save $10 off a car wash or something. And it was like, I guess that was spam email before email became a bigger thing, but it was terrible. Like, you had to unplug it because it's like ink cartridges are expensive. Alright, so the next thread. I asked a coworker what his son's name was, and he answered Legolas. After 2 seconds of laughing, I realized he wasn't laughing. His son is actually named Legolas. It was okay. I'm not gonna dox anybody right now, but my friend was like, we saw like a really cute kid shirt, and we were like, oh, that's cool. And my friend's like, oh, we should get that for, and then I'm just gonna make up some names like Echo, Kai, or Ravenblood, and I was like, what? And she's like, oh, those are my friend's kids' names. I was like, no. Those are like names of like lizards or like geckos or your freaking avatar in World of Warcraft. That's not kids' names, but apparently that's a new wave right now. Like, I already have ideas of what I would name my children if I have them, and they're very, I don't want to say regular because that's kind of offensive in a way, but just standard US names. Hank, Pete, whatever. Like, that's just what I don't know. Maybe they'll be looked at like the Legolas in their class when they're a kid, when they don't have a fun new trendy name like .com or something. And if my kid's name is Tyler, they'll be like, oh, okay, go back to 1995, boomer, or whatever it is. I don't know. Same here. I met a little boy named Merlin and kind of insulted his parents with my reaction. And honestly, you have to kind of have it coming. Like, what is? Oh, you know what? I'm not gonna go down that path right now. So I was walking my dog a few weeks ago and came face to face with a guy with a small toddler and an Afghan hound. My dog can be funny with dogs he doesn't know, so I grabbed his collar as we approached. The guy saw what I'd done and said loudly, "Merlin, stop," and grabbed his dog and picked up the toddler. As we passed, I said, "That's a great name for a dog." He looked insulted and said, "Merlin's my son's name." I can just see the smugness. Merlin's my son's name. How dare you? How dare you? Case in point, I have friends whose dog's name is Merlin. Yes, that's a thing. And here's the sad part is, I had a good name for a child in my head, and then my parents, or my brother named their dog that name. So I'm like, okay, there goes that. Next reply. This was a few years ago. I forgot how the topic was brought up, but I clearly remember my older sister saying, there aren't any modern buildings in Egypt, just pyramids. Okay, isn't that the funny thing where you can go to like a KFC in Egypt and have a front row view of like the Egyptian pyramids from the KFC, and it's like the best view in the world for a fast food joint? Well, that's why the pyramids are so big. They have to house the whole Egyptian population. That would be a good reply. And now here's a good sponsor break for Coca-Cola Zero. That refreshing taste. No, it's just the idea that I still need caffeine. I will go through withdrawal, and I think all Starbucks is closed today, so there's that. Well, that's why the pyramid. Oh, we did that one already. So the next reply is, they live in smaller pyramids inside the bigger pyramid. It's a giant pyramid scheme. Hey, you want to be a boss, babe? Come join me in this pyramid. All right. So next thread. I once worked with a 50-some-year-old guy at my first job, who also happened to be a former crackhead. I added that in detail because his mannerisms and communication were clearly affected by his prior drug use and would stop sometimes to laugh when he was telling serious stories. One day, he was telling me a story about him and accidentally setting fire to the woods when he was staying at to cremate his dead pet frog when he was a little boy. I was laughing my butt off. Strangely, so was he, until he looked me dead in the eye with a face that's so serious as they get and says, I'm still not over it. Oh. I knew that look, and he was actually being serious despite being in absolute hysterics with me while telling this story. I immediately felt like an asshole. He was cool about it enough, thankfully. Okay, so I get it. It's like kind of a, I don't know, he just kind of, oh yeah, here we go. So he was amphibing them? Oh, no. Cancel it. Cancel it. Who gave this guy gold? Who gave this guy money to say that right now? This joke is a stretch. It made me pull a muscle. Okay, you know what? No, we should almost be done with this thread. Okay, so this guy got gold for this one right here. Next thread. A random dude told me I'm girly because I know how to make scrambled eggs. Thanks for the gold. I guess you don't know how to make scrambled eggs, kind stranger. And here's the thing is, if you've been making scrambled eggs the standard way where you put it in the pan, you scramble it up, add some cheese or maybe butter, and then you serve it up, you gotta watch that Gordon Ramsay video on how to make the proper scrambled egg. He kind of just disses all Americans while you make scrambled eggs. If your scrambled egg texture is rubbery, apparently you're doing it wrong. I've been doing it wrong. But just the idea that once you have the scrambled egg with creme fraiche, where you put the heat on the pan, off the pan, on the pan, off the pan. I wish I could do a British accent, but honestly, it's the best thing ever. You gotta try it. If you don't have it, if you haven't gone to any Gordon Ramsay's restaurants, you're missing out. You gotta try Gordon Ramsay's version of scrambled eggs, which you can make at home now. If you're lucky enough to go to the restaurant, to the grocery store and get yourself some scrambled eggs, you go make them the Gordon Ramsay way. This guy's just calling him out for it. Okay, won't read that reply. Let's do a couple more. Friend 1, hey man, how come you had to shave your hair off? Friend 2, the chemo kind of decided to form. Friend 1, F off, Joe. No, seriously though, how come? Me, he's actually not joking. Funniest stuff ever happened to me. How's that funny? That's sad, but I mean, I guess it's one of those things where it's like, you know, when you're a bunch of guys and you can poke fun at each other, nothing's really offensive, so I mean, I guess at least they're having a good time. Okay, so one more right here. Next thread. I came into my job and my boss was running a bit late for an unknown reason. Now my boss is the type of person to joke about anything, no matter how serious it is, and will pull it off with a straight face. We never really take him seriously unless it's directly related to work. He comes in after being late after a bit and casually says, "A close coworker has passed away the previous night." Aw. I literally chuckled and said, "Yeah, oh sure," and blew it off. He then said he died from a heart attack before he was set to go out with his buddies during the evening. I then said, "Oh wait, you're actually serious?" And he almost started crying right there and said yes. I miss that man to this day. Real chill guy with some cool hobbies and volunteer work. I also feel so bad for my boss because they had known each other for years. Ooh. That is rough. That is rough. So I hate to go out. You know what? I'm not gonna go out on a sad note. Let's try to get a fun one right now. So, next reply is, intern at the vet I work at was a very, very, very sheltered Mormon. He came to work one day and panicked. He had his first kiss the night before and asked the girl to marry him and was concerned about his wedding date. Uh-oh. He was absolutely convinced that he got her pregnant by kissing her. Absolutely convinced. It took me a long time to register that he was panicked about it because he sounded so absurd. He delivered hundreds of kittens and puppies by then, and I just thought he had also learned about the human reproductive anatomy as well as animals by then. Okay, jeez. You know what? Okay, I was trying to leave on a positive note. I guess that's as positive it's gonna get. A lot of funny stories right here. I mean, we're going through this right now and seeing some stuff that made us laugh. Hopefully we had a break from all the other crazy stuff that's going on in life right now. So, what is your oh haha, oh wait, you're serious moment? Drop it in the comments. And if you've made it this far, we're kind of having a celebration right now. So subscribe down below because you obviously like the content. Check out that video over there and let me know how you like the live streams, like this content, solo dives, Ask Reddit, entitled parents, whatever you want me to do. Drop comments down below. I literally respond to everybody at this point.